What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler and can find all of my work at crumplerbaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from September 8th. Monday, September 8th, that is. We'll start things off as always with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league. Kicking things off with the bad news as the Phillies placed both third baseman Alec Bohm and shortstop Trey Turner on the 10-day IL. Bohm has a cyst in his shoulder and Turner has a hamstring strain. Donovan Walton was selected from the minors and Otto Kemp was recalled from the minors, and Walton will fill in off the bench, and Kemp is expected to take over at third base for Bohm, while Edmundo Sosa covers for Turner at shortstop. This is a big blow to the Phillies, but also it's sort of good timing ahead of the playoffs. I'd rather have them injured now, especially with the Phillies pretty much guaranteed to make the playoffs, and then have them healthy for the postseason. Both of these injuries seem like they are recoverable before the end of the season. So if there are any late season shenanigans in terms of the standings, Bohm and Turner should be available to help push the Phillies through to the playoffs. Next, we have catcher Logan O'Hoppe, who was placed on the 7-day concussion IL. Sebastian Rivero was selected from the minors in a corresponding move and made his MLB debut in O'Hoppe's stead, but Travis d'Arnaud is expected to be the everyday catcher for the Angels until O'Hoppe returns from the concussion IL. Next, we have closing pitcher Daniel Palencia, who was placed on the 15-day IL with a shoulder strain. He gave up 5 runs in his most recent outing, so the shoulder strain explains the huge blow up there amid a very great season for Palencia. Brad Keller and Andrew Kittredge are likely to split closing duties, and if I had to choose one, I think Keller is probably the most likely to get the majority of save opportunities on the north side of Chicago amid a breakout season out of the bullpen. Next, we have catcher Sean Murphy, who was placed on the 10-day IL with a hip labral tear. Murphy is done for the season. This looks like it's going to take at least a few months for Murphy to recover from, so he should be good for next season, but definitely done for this season. Sandy Leon was selected from the minors and will back up Drake Baldwin, who will continue to see the majority of playing time behind the plate for the Braves. And lastly, first baseman Tyler Locklear was placed on the 10-day IL with elbow inflammation, another big blow to the first base position for the Diamondbacks, as they are without both Pavin Smith and Lourdes Gurriel, who are more part-time first basemen, but both have the ability to play the cold corner. Locklear was the big acquisition from the Mariners at the deadline in exchange for Eugenio Suarez, and was getting everyday playing time at first base for the Diamondbacks, but now he'll be on the IL for at least the next 10 days. Tim Tawa was recalled from the minors, and he could platoon with Ildemaro Vargas at first base. It won't be a strict platoon, as Vargas is a switch hitter, and Tawa has the ability to play all over the field, but so does Vargas. So we'll see how that shakes out, but those should be the 2 likeliest candidates to fill in at first base for the Diamondbacks in Locklear's stead. In terms of transactions, outfielder Alec Burleson was activated from the 10-day IL after missing some time with wrist inflammation. He should take over every day in left field with some time at first base, especially with Wilson Contreras serving a suspension. Burleson returned to the lineup at first base on Monday, but Burleson's return will likely force Lars Nootbaar to move around the outfield, which is what he was doing when Burleson was active before, seeing time in all left, center, and right field, which means that Jordan Walker, Victor Scott II, and Nathan Church will cede playing time to both Burleson and Nootbaar. Next, we have starting pitcher Jansen Junk, who was activated from the 15-day IL to start versus the Nationals. He missed a couple of weeks with ulnar nerve irritation, and he was not great in his return. Junk tossed 4 1/3 innings, allowing 8 hits and 6 earned runs, walking 2 while striking out 3, inducing 8 whiffs, with 17% CSW across 86 pitches, and he'll get the Tigers up next. I'm definitely avoiding Junk's next start after this junk of a start. Lastly, we've got third baseman Max Muncy, who was activated from the 10-day IL after missing time with an oblique strain. He should be on the strong side of a third base platoon, forcing Miguel Rojas to the short side of the hot corner platoon. Catcher Chucky Robinson was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Now we can take a look at some news, beginning with starting pitcher Michael King, who's expected to be activated from the 15-day IL today to start versus the Reds. It's been a tough season full of injuries for King. He's been missing the last few weeks with knee inflammation, but he will return to face the Reds outside of Great American Ballpark, and I'm totally fine starting King there. Next, we have second baseman Tommy Edman, who's been out with a sprained ankle and is expected to be activated from the 10-day IL tomorrow. He could claim everyday second base duties over Hyun Kim for the Dodgers unless they prefer to keep Kim in the lineup, in which case Edman could play in the outfield, which would push Michael Conforto to the bench. Next, we have starting pitcher Jamison Tyone, who's expected to be activated from the 15-day IL tomorrow to start in Atlanta. He's missed a few weeks with a groin strain. Next, we have starting pitcher Ryan Weathers, who's expected to be activated from the 60-day IL on Thursday to start versus the Nationals. He's been out for the last 3 months with a lat strain, so definitely sit back and watch that one from Weathers. But if he looks like he did last year and at the beginning of this season, he's definitely somebody to consider as a streamer. And lastly, starting pitcher Chase Burns is expected to be activated from the 15-day IL on Friday to start in Sacramento. He's been out with an elbow strain. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Monday, a day in which we had just 11 games on the slate. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with outfielder Michael Hellman, who helped the Rangers to win versus the Brewers, going 2 for 3 with a run, a double, a home run, and 5 runs batted in. It was his 4th homer of the year, and it traveled 381 feet at 103 miles per hour. 29-year-old rookie Hellman was the unlikely hero for the Rangers on Monday, accounting for all 5 Ranger runs thanks to his first career grand slam. Hellman spent much of his professional career toiling away in the Twins minor league system, making a brief cameo last year before getting a legit chance with the Rangers this year, thanks to injuries to all 3 of Texas's opening day outfielders. They're currently without Evan Carter and Adolis Garcia. Hellman, though, has made the most of it, displaying some power and speed, and as well as defense, good enough to man center field, and the best plate discipline of his career that isn't really supported by his aggressive approach at the plate. Ultimately, Hellman is an option in deep or AL-only leagues because of his everyday role and contributions across the board, but with poor batted ball metrics and no standout skill, Hellman remains irrelevant in standard leagues. And lastly, second baseman Luis Garcia Jr. helped the Nationals to win in Miami, going 2 for 4 with 3 runs, a home run, an RBI, and 2 walks for good measure. It was his 13th homer of the year, and it traveled 413 feet at 107 miles per hour. Garcia has done his best to support last year's breakout campaign in an effort to establish himself as the premier Luis Garcia. And while his 13 homer, 13 steal, 263 batting average, 95 WRC plus season is solid, it doesn't quite live up to the 18, 22, 282, 110 season he put up last year. However, Garcia sort of deserves better this year, and his underlying metrics suggest he's even improved this year more than he did last year, sporting a career high 9% barrel rate and 45% hard hit rate. His 348 xwOBA is also the highest of his career. Garcia has done a better job of pulling and lifting the ball and has returned his zone contact rate to an elite 90+%. I think Garcia is going to finish the season strong and will be someone to target again next year because of his 5-category production. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Monday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Tyler Glasnow, who helped the Dodgers to win against the Rockies, tossing 7 innings, allowing no hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts. He induced 15 whiffs with 34% CSW across 105 pitches. And Glasnow must love some ice cream because he devoured Rocky Road on Monday with 7 no-hit innings, despite allowing a run, which is not something that you usually see, as Glasnow focused on his secondaries and let his typically primary four-seamer take a backseat as his least thrown offering on Monday. Glasnow's curve was the star of the show, inducing 10 whiffs and 52% CSW, while his slider ate up righties to the tune of 4 whiffs and 32% CSW as his most thrown offering. On the fastball side of things, sinkers were favored over four-seamers, likely due to the righty-heavy lineup he was tasked to face, and they excelled at stealing strikes, earning 33% CSW without recording a single whiff. Four-seamers were pretty much a non-factor for Glasnow, but they aided in tunneling with his slider as he focused glove side with them. Glasnow obviously remains elite, and he should be started versus the Phillies next, especially following the injuries to Bohm and Turner. Lastly, we've got Jacob Latz, who helped the Rangers to win against the Brewers, tossing 5 2/3 shutout innings, allowing just 3 hits and 1 walk while striking out 4. He induced 11 whiffs with 32% CSW across 84 pitches, and our backup streamer of the day came through, surviving nearly 6 shutout frames against the best team in baseball. Latz displayed great precision with four-seamers upstairs, sliders glove side, and changeups arm side. He got away with plenty of mediocre heaters in the zone, stealing 10 called strikes while inducing 11 foul balls with his fastball. But he did allow just 2 hits on 8 balls in play and returned 4 whiffs for 31% CSW. However, Latz's slider is really what carried him on Monday, with particular effectiveness against lefties, inducing 4 whiffs for 44% CSW, while changeups kept righties off balance with a trio of whiffs and 18% CSW. Latz isn't spectacular, but he fits the mold of unspectacular lefties, having a lot of success in 2025, and he hasn't allowed more than 2 runs in a start this year. So he could keep that up in his next start. It will be questionable, but it could be a sneaky stream in Queens up next. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Monday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now I'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves, starting with the former Yohan Duran, recorded his 28th save with a scoreless ninth. Raisel Iglesias pitched a perfect ninth for his 25th save. Andres Munoz recorded his 33rd save with a hitless ninth. And lastly, Tanner Scott pitched a scoreless ninth for his 21st save. And in terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or below their saves, Robert Suarez recorded 5 outs across the 9th and 10th, and the Padres would win this one in 10. That was against the Reds, and Emilio Pagan pitched in that one, a perfect ninth in a tie game that the Reds would go on to lose. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Tuesday, September 9th, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games beginning at 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. My matchup of the day is Zach Gallen versus Robbie Ray, 2 NL West teams that aren't quite out of the postseason race. They're like right on the verge, like something like a 5% chance to make the playoffs. So we got a couple guys who have looked much better in the past, but have shown glimpses of being great this year, Gallen and Robbie Ray. It could be a really good pitching matchup here, and definitely some interdivision rivalry going on. In terms of probable starters, we've got 4 guys in the auto starts tier. And this may be the first time all year that I've seen this. Our streamer of the day is in the auto starts tier, and that's Emmett Sheehan versus the Rockies. Pretty clear start here. He was absolutely dominant versus the Reds last time out, and now he gets the Rockies on the road, who were just no hit for 7 frames by Sheehan's teammate Tyler Glasnow. Sheehan has looked very solid this year. Really easy matchup against the Rockies. Very clear stream here. I'd also keep an eye out for Joey Cantillo versus the Royals. It's a questionable start, but Cantillo's got a solid changeup and looked really solid in his return to the majors last time out. So if you're desperate for a stream, Joey Cantillo versus the Royals. In terms of hitter suggestions, I'd look at Nationals and Marlins hitters in Lone Depot Park. We got Mitchell Parker and his 5.87 ERA versus Adam Mazur and his 5.74 ERA. So this could be a big matchup for hitters on Monday. I'd also keep an eye out for Nick Castellanos versus Sean Manaea and his 5.60 ERA in Citizens Bank Ballpark. He's batted .294 with 3 homers and an 11.18 OPS and 17 at-bats versus Manaea. That's Nick Castellanos. I'd also target Cubs hitters versus Spencer Strider and his 4.97 ERA in Truist Park. It's been a tough go for Spencer Strider this season, and especially as of late, Cubs hitters could take advantage of him on Tuesday. And lastly, I target Dodgers hitters versus German Marquez and his 6.19 ERA in Dodger Stadium. Probably not a lot of Dodgers hitters available on your waiver wire, but if you can get somebody like Kike Hernandez or Hyseong Kim, then maybe you can take advantage of the cushy pitching matchup here in Dodger Stadium. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.